Hi, everyone. It's kylecroese, and this is a brand new edition of the Everything I Watch segment. This time for June. For June this time. And I actually watched a lot more movies in June than I did in May because I wasn't playing as much Zelda. So I think I learned my lesson. And no, I just, there was some great movies coming out in June. I've been playing it still a little bit, but I've been watching a lot of movies too. So let's talk about them. But first, I want to just shout out something. The podcast. We just released the first episode of the Mission Impossible series we're doing before we hit Dead Reckoning Part 1 this Saturday. I am bloody keen for it. And I currently have an episode out at the moment with Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2 and what I think about those films. And everything's explained on the Instagram of what that's all about and what I'm going to be, diving into and examining when I look at these movies. So if you want to get into that, get on the podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's wherever you get them. And listen to that podcast if you want to hear more about Mission Impossible. We are going to do tomorrow, I think, will be Mission Impossible 3 and Ghost Protocol. I'll be recording that tonight and bringing that out tomorrow. And then Friday, before the big day on Friday, we'll be doing Rogue Nation and Fallout. And I'm so excited to be finishing off this series. I've had a great time so far. Currently seen all the way to Rogue Nation. I think I'm saving Fallout till like tomorrow night. I'm thinking a little event to myself tomorrow night with Fallout. And goddamn excited. I'm so excited for Dead Reckoning. And if you want to get on that journey, if you want to have fun on the journey with me, join me. Join me on the journey. Go listen to the podcast. Have some fun. Let's start this thing, eh? I started off by watching Across the Spider-Verse, and if you wanted to hear my in-depth thoughts on it, more in-depth thoughts about what I thought about it, go listen to that Mission Impossible podcast, because I actually do talk about Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. But if you want to hear some more in-depth thoughts, like I said, go listen to that podcast. I have a lot more things to say on that podcast than I do here. I'll just give you a quick rundown though. I fucking loved it. And you might see it on a list next week. So there you go. Same thing with Blackberry. That'll also might be on a list next week as well. But I will talk about Blackberry since I haven't talked about it yet. Now this is written by Matthew Miller and Matt Johnson and directed by Matt Johnson. And it is about the Blackberry phone and how two entrepreneurs, Mike Lazaridis and his buddy, I think it was Doug. I think his name is Doug. That's Matt Johnson plays. Because the director's actually in this film as Doug, as Mike's friend, played by Jay Baruchel. And when they meet the businessman, Jim Basile, I have no idea how to say that man's last name. Bolsel. And he is played by Glenn Howerton. And you might know him as Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And this is one of those kind of like technology biopics, just like the something like The Social Network. And just like The Social Network, not everything in this film is true, but that's not the reason this movie is good. The reason this movie is good is it's fucking so well paced. It's so well like acted as well. Glenn Howerton, I think, should be getting some sort of supporting nod somewhere when it comes to awards season. He is one of my favorite performances of the year so far. Jay Baruchel, it's good to see him back. He was really good in that too. And then Matt Johnson. There's a little bit of comedy. There's a little bit of drama as well. The way it's edited, the fucking score, it's all really just on fire. And a film that makes for a lot of rewatches because, yeah, I've seen this twice now. I just haven't logged it back in again, but I've seen it twice now. And this is one of my favorite films of the year. And I just had a great time of it. Especially if you like The Social Network and how that is, it's not entirely true and everything, but the important parts are still in it. But there's just a lot more loose storytelling around it, and it's very entertaining. And Blackberry has that same kind of feel. It's a very entertaining movie, very funny, very dramatic at times as well. The editing is top notch, like I said. Performances are great. Directing is great. It looks really nice as well. And yeah, my God, one of the best of the year. So please do watch Blackberry if you can. Next up, To Catch a Killer. This one, not so much a must-watch. This is a film starring Shailene Woodley, Ben Mendelsohn, and it's a typical serial killer thriller drama. And I was actually pretty excited for it, given, I like Shailene Woodley, I like Ben Mendelsohn, and I like detective thrillers. But the thing about this one is, it tells you instead of shows you, which is just really fucking annoying. One of my least favorite parts of any type of film or any type of storytelling in general is when the audience is told exposition instead of showing exposition or showing what is happening, or what is, some sort of story we can give to our character. The main issue with this film is, I'm watching this with a friend of mine, and then we're about half an hour in, I'm pretty sure, and then we are told from a document from Ben Mendelsohn's character about Shailene Woodley's character's backstory, instead of getting, seeing it on screen. And it bored the fucking shit out of me. But, I kept going with the film because I heard that Ralph Anderson was in it as well. And then when he shows up, it doesn't get any fucking better. So, didn't like this one. Not a great one. If you don't really like that kind of storytelling when they're just going to tell you everything, this is not the movie for you, just like it wasn't for me. I think give this one a skip. Next up is Reality. This is a film that I believe this played at the Berlin Film Festival, I'm pretty sure. And this is directed by Tina Satter, and it's about Reality Winner. That's her name, Reality Winner. On the 3rd of June 2017, she returns home from doing some errands, and she finds 2 FBI agents standing outside of a house wanting to interrogate her about something that went down when she worked as an intelligence contractor. Specifically, when Reality released a classified document about Russian interference in the 2016 US election. I didn't know the story when I was watching this. I just wanted to watch it because Sydney Sweeney was in it. I heard that Josh Hamilton was in it as well. And yes, he's one of the FBI agents. But the pull of this is, and what I didn't know, is that this whole entire script is a transcript from the actual event. So everything you're hearing on screen actually starts off in some places that starts off as a recording, and then you actually see it play out in the film, and then it goes back to the recording. So it does that. It doesn't do it too much, but it's just doing it to let you know that, yes, this is actually coming from the real transcript when Reality was questioned and interrogated back in 2017. And I really liked the way that was done. I really liked that approach. I thought that was a really creative approach and a very interesting way to portray this. But the thing that pulls this all together really is Sydney Sweeney's performance. This is the best work she's done. She is absolutely incredible in this movie. She killed it, as I said in my review here. She killed it. And I knew she was capable of good performances. It just depends on the filmmaker. And, she's good sometimes in Euphoria. Season 2, I don't know, not so much. A little too much for me there. But I knew there was something in her. She's in another film, I think, later this year called Americana with Paul Walter Hauser, I think. That apparently she's good in that one too. So I knew she had some potential. But she really gets to show it here in this kind of there's the FBI agents, but really for the majority of the film, there's only the 2 FBI agents and Reality. So it's like a kind of like a 3-person, 3-hander, or if that's a thing. But a lot of it takes place in one location, which is in her house, in certain, different rooms. Some of it starts outside, some of it's inside. And throughout as well, there's information that we are not supposed to know. So it actually gets visually redacted from the film when it happens, when it's been said by the people inside the film. So I thought that also was a really nice touch. I thought this was pretty solid. I didn't think it was anything amazing, but the thing that really pulled this all together, like I said, was Sydney Sweeney's performance. She was amazing. I can't wait to see what she does next, if that Americana film is any good. So looking forward to it. Reality. It's on HBO Max, and you should give it a watch, especially if you love Sydney Sweeney and if you want something different. Next up, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I'm going to teach you how to blow up. No, I'm not. I don't want to get put on any sort of lists. This is directed by Daniel Goldhaber. It's also written by Daniel Goldhaber, and one of the stars, Ariela Barrera, who is one of my favorite performances of the year, and she'll be coming up on a list next week as well. It's also written by Jordan Scholl as well, and it's about a crew of young people, environmental activists, that plan to execute a mission where they tried to blow up an oil pipeline in rural America. And it's all affecting them all in lots of personal ways. So they all come together and decide to carry out this act. And many would argue an act of terrorism. But this movie is fucking awesome. Like, I got the same feeling I got this movie is... Now, I know they're not the same films, but when I came out of Top Gun Maverick last year, and I was just like, that was just fucking sick. This one is like sick / awesome in like a different way. It's got this adrenaline building up throughout it, whereas Top Gun Maverick is just full speed ahead, fucking infinity gun speed. Just that's not even a word, but all the way through, it's adrenaline pumping. But this one's like adrenaline pumping in like this kind of like bubbling way. It's bubbling all the way throughout, and then when shit happens throughout this movie, my God, it's so enthralling and so engaging. The filmmaking, like, it comes off as like really minimal. It's filmed like kind of handheld, and a lot of close-ups, really rough, but it comes off as exciting and fucking just the word I came away from was just volatile when I like watched this movie, and I really can't wait to see it again to see if I feel the same way. But you can just tell it's just brimming with so much passion, anger, excitement, so many feelings. It's just really, it's that passion, whether it's anger, whether it's excitement, whether it's frustration at the world. You can really just feel the passion. And man, I want to shout out the score to this thing, because this one was banging. Gavin Brivik, if you say that name right, I'm sorry, sir, if I pronounced that wrong. Gavin Brivik, his score, oh my God, electrifying. Absolutely electrifying. And I really liked the structure of this thing. Like, it's broken up into different chapters related to each character throughout the film and what they're going through. The way it's cut, the way it's edited, everything is just fucking perfect. And it's so good. And I loved how it all came together. It just made it that much more engaging and exciting. It was like the icing on the cake that you need with a film like this. And God damn, I want to watch this movie again. This was one of the best movies in a year. You want to talk about lists? You want to talk about end of the year lists? Prepare to see How to Blow Up a Pipeline. If you want to talk about half yearly lists, prepare to see How to Blow Up a Pipeline on there. And get put on a list with me and watch this fucking awesome film. Next up, I like movies. Do you? This is a film called I Like Movies, directed by Chandler Levac, and it stars Isaiah Lettinen and Krista Bridges. And it's about this guy, this little boy, if you will, named Lawrence, and he loves movies. He loves them. He loves movies so much that he goes to the video store. He gets 5 movies every week, and he watches them, and then he keeps them, and he just keeps fucking watching them. And he loves all the filmmakers like PTA, fucking Stanley Kubrick, the classics. And he is like a living embodiment of like a film bro. If you've seen these people on Twitter or any social media or any film score really, where you'll meet some of those people and they think they know a lot about movies. They might know a lot about movies, but you don't have to be a fucking dick about it, He's like one of those people. And what happens is he gets a job at this video rental store, and he meets the manager, Lana, played by Romina Diogo. And they form this unlikely bond, this friendship. There might be something a little bit more. There might not be. The best review I saw for this one is like licorice pizza, but for people who go to Blockbuster. If you know what I mean by that, you probably understand. But I did like all the references and everything here and there relating to film. That's of course that's going to get me. That's going to be that's easy, that's cheating. But what I really ended up liking about this movie is its characters and the relationship they have, like specifically Lawrence and Alana's relationship. And then when you find out what they have in common, it gets even deeper and it gets more interesting, and their dynamic is also, it gets more engaging to watch as well. Tell you what, the humor in this movie, probably not for everyone, but I like this type of humor. This is right up my alley. There's a particular scene, now, just to test if you're a fan of this humor, there's a particular scene near the beginning of the film where there's this couple that's looking for a recommendation for a comedy, and Lawrence recommends them Happiness by Todd Solondz. And that made me piss myself laughing. And if that doesn't make you piss yourself laughing, you mightn't like the film, or you might just not just get the joke or the reference. But that's the kind of humor we're dealing with this movie. I love it. I had a great time with it. I can't wait to watch it again. This is also one of my favorite movies of the year. Not just because it's called I Like Movies. It's because it's actually a generally good film with some great performances. And I can't wait to see Isaiah Letterman do things again. That made sense, didn't it? Yeah, check it out. Good shit. Next, The Flash. No. Next, Fast X. No, we'll go to The Flash. Look, I talked about this in an extensive way on the podcast. So if you do want to hear more thoughts on that and how much I fucking hated this movie, go on the podcast, listen to it there, and you'll see why I didn't like it that much. But I don't really want to talk more about this movie. I think it's a complete waste of time and money. And yeah, not good. Fast X. This is directed by Louis Leterrier. I think that's how you say his name. This is the 10th film in this franchise, full of fast cars and big muscly boys and pop music sometimes. And yeah, this is the fucking 10th movie. I didn't really like Fast 9. I thought it was way too far, even though like I tend to love this franchise even more, especially after 5. 5 is still my favorite. This movie takes a page out of a correct book and actually relates its events to something that happened in Fast 5. Put the pen down. The son of the guy that they robbed in Fast 5, he is out to get him. He wants to get him. He wants to take him down. And he's played by Jason Momoa. His name's Dante. And he's a crafty little fucker. And he's a funny little oh, I got a little too ahead of myself there. And he pretty much he sets his sights on the Fast team. They drive cars. It's a Fast and the Furious movie. It's fine. I had fun with it, but the most fun I had with this movie was Jason Momoa playing Dante. He is having so much goddamn fun with this movie. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. Was he doing his Joker impression? I'm not too sure. But he was having a goddamn ball. And everyone else is like, Vin Diesel's always going to be like serious, kind of, this is family, this is my Dodge Charger, don't fucking touch it. But then we get another one, John Cena, who was, I think his name is Jacob in Fast 9, his brother in Fast 9. He gets to be, who I like John Cena as, a funny dude, playing a funny character. And that's what I like John Cena best, when he's playing that funny character. And he gets to go on a cross-country little adventure with Dom's son, Brian. And they have a lot of fun together. And then the rest of the movie sometimes is kind of boring. And that is what it is. That is these latest installments of these Fast and Furious movies. Some of it's boring. A lot of it is incoherent and fucking insane and ridiculous. But the thing that saves this movie is Jason Momoa and John Cena. But I don't think I'll be revisiting this one until I go back and rewatch the franchise again. But I don't think I'll be visiting this one anytime soon. And that's Fast X. Moving on, Extraction 2. This is the sequel to Extraction from 2020, I believe. I think the film was from 2020. Came out during the pandemic, and I really enjoyed the first one. This is directed by Sam Hargrave, I think he was either a stuntman on the Marvel films, or he was a Chris Hemsworth stunt double. I think he's one of the two. And he went and directed a film called Extraction, which had a lot of great action in it. And I really liked the fight choreography and how brutal it was. It kind of reminded me of like a John Wick light. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And this sequel, I think I enjoyed more. The story itself is not as strong as that first one. I don't think the first one really had that much of a strong story. But the story here is not that strong. But the action is a lot better, in my opinion. There's this amazing, I think it's like a 22-minute long take of this prison breakout sequence that is fucking awesome. That ends in a prison riot. That ends in Tyler Ray, Chris Hemsworth's character, fucking having flames on his fists, for God's sake, and punching dudes. That's how insane this gets. And then it goes from there onto like a train sequence, and my God, it's awesome. It's so fucking good. The action is great again. There's another great sequence that takes place in like this high-rise building that I can't really get into because it's spoilers. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. Again, I had a good time of it. It's not great. It's not amazing. It's also not that memorable, but the fight scenes are memorable, and the fight choreography and the action is great and brutal and visceral, and love it. And I like that we got a bit more of Golshifteh Farahani's character, Nikki, or Nick from the first one. She was good in the first one, but she gets a lot more to do in the second one, especially with her brother, played by Adam Besser. And I hope that she gets, if we are getting a third one, which I think we are, not based on what happens at the end of the movie, but I just think we are going to get a third one. It makes sense. Money, trilogies, this is what happened. I hope she gets a lot more screen time in the third one as well, and we get to see a lot more of her character, especially what happens with her brother in this film. And yeah, great time, fun. Your dad will fucking love it. It's a breezy one too. Character's not that great, but the action's good. So go check that one out. Return to Seoul. Now I've got to slow down for this one because, god damn, there's so much going on here. So this is Return to Seoul, or Seoul, however you say it. Directed by Davy Chow. And it's about a French-Korean woman called Freddie. And she returns to South Korea for the first time since she was born. And she's adopted by French parents because she's dropped off at one of those baby adoption centers by her actual biological parents, her Korean parents. And she shows up in South Korea. People are asking her what she's doing there. And they're asking if she's there to find her biological parents, where she is finding it difficult to answer at first. But then she is pretty much, that is the journey that she's going to take. She's wanting to find out who her biological parents are, how to find them, how to track them down, and if she even really connects to them at all. And that's really the question in this movie. It takes place over, I think, 8 years. It's broken into 3 parts. And it takes place over 8 years. And speaking of breaking it over into 3 parts, this movie broke me into pieces. Pieces. Shattered. Brain shattered. Heart on the floor. Mouth agape. This is kind of like my After Sun for this year, I think. And you know, I had a lot of feelings about After Sun. We all know how like I'm struggling to get those out at the moment. But this one, I had a lot more of those feelings again. Like not the same feelings I had with After Sun, but these different kind of feelings that have impacted me a lot and stayed with me ever since the film ended. And I can't stop thinking about it. I want to watch it again, but also don't want to go through that fucking heartbreak again. All I got to say is that it's just an excellent, excellent film. There's a great performance from Park Ji-min, who plays Freddie. All the supporting characters are great as well. I love how it's filmed. Her character and how she gets along. Will she even find her mother? Will she find her mother? Will she find her father? If you have if you have any same feelings or thoughts that this main character has, or just the themes that this movie brings up, if you really relate to that a lot, or if that really gets to you, I think you're going to really enjoy this movie, but at the same time, you're going to have a hard time with this movie. That all being said, that warning being said, do watch this film. It's a really, 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 really good film. It did a lot for me, and I hope it does a lot for you as well. So, Return to Seoul. Then, Charade. I watched Charade for a movie night last month. This is a film from 1963, starring Audrey Hepburn, Cary Grant, written by Peter Stone, Mark Bem, and directed by Stanley Donen. And it's about a woman named Regina. She finds out that her husband is dead. She meets a man named Peter, played by Cary Grant. And this is like, this is older Cary Grant. This is like older Cary Grant. I think this is the last time he must have played like a romantic lead or something, because he was, this man was old in this movie. She gets embroiled in this mystery and this conspiracy of what happened to her late husband, when she meets all of these other characters as well that want something that her husband had. And that is the plot of the film. It might sound convoluted. Sometimes it is a bit convoluted and doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you stick with it, you might have a fun time with this one. I can't say I did as much as everyone else did. This is one of my friends, like, this is one of her favorite movies, and this is why I did it for the movie night, to see how I would like it and see how everyone else would take it as well. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't think we're on the same wavelength here. I like Audrey Hepburn. Gives a great eye performance with her eyes. And Cary Grant is good, but sometimes like a little creepy in this movie. But I think the main problem was its tone. I either don't get the 60s kind of humor, or like how films were back then. I think I also just prefer modern dialogue. I know, like, you know, these are classic movies, and this is how it was made back then. But I just, speaking from what I personally like, I think I just like more modern dialogue and less kind of just insane things being said. So it was either like my misunderstanding of what this humor was back then, or its tone really was just all over the place. That sometimes it was really serious, but then some funny things were said, or what I thought were funny things that I didn't know were funny things were said, and I just wasn't sure about it the whole entire time. So my experience wasn't as fun or enjoyable as everyone else who seems to love this film. So I'm sorry I can't really get on the same wavelength here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really see myself returning to this one again. And well, I'm happy I watched it just to see if I would, but I really don't see myself returning to this one again. Then I watched Sanctuary. Speaking of another kind of disappointing watch, and this kills me. This absolutely kills me. This does. I was really looking forward to this movie. So this movie played at TIFF last year. It was a lot of people's favorites. It looks right up my alley. My friend and I, it looks right up our alley. It's about a businessman who's about to ascend to, you know, the CEO spot. A little bit of a Kendall Roy, if you want to go there, or in this case, I think a bit of a Roman Roy. In this case, and he has this arrangement with his dominatrix, played by Margaret Qualley. And because he's, you know, getting this new job, he attempts to break off their little engagement, their little arrangement, little thing. And things don't really go the way he wants them to. I'll say that. This is kind of like a bottle film two-hander. This all takes place in one location. It's just two characters and them just talking. If you don't like that, click off now or don't watch the film. But if you do like that, and if you're into that shit, you might like it, until I talk about something that I didn't like. But I really liked a lot of this. The shots are framed so beautifully. The composition is tight. The shots just look immaculate. The performances are incredible. Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott Christopher Abbott, we know he's festival darling. Margaret Qualley also as well. She shines as well. But they are both so brilliant in this movie. The characters are great. They're dynamic. The chemistry, the way they bounce off each other. The way they bounce off each other is just so delicious to watch. I'll say that. And the dialogue as well. Production design, the way the hotel looks, colors, shots. Like I said, it's all great. Technically great. Performances are great. Writing, really good. Up until the end. Up until the very end. And if you know me, if you've been watching the channel, if you know, well, listen to the podcast, you know that a film's end makes or breaks it for me. Because that's the last feeling you're left when you leave a movie, when you finish with a film. That's the last feeling you have, is the ending, is how it ends. And when it doesn't end well, or it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, it can really sour the rest of the film. And unfortunately, that's what happened here, because it all built up to an end to me that just didn't make any sense. I didn't understand why this ended like this. And it just, character-wise, and just how the film was going and the flow of everything, I just don't understand why it would end like this. And it really fucking brought it down. Damn, I hate saying it, but it really brought it down. And if I were like, I don't want to be that person, but it's like, if I made this movie, I just really could pinpoint the exact spot where it ended. And my friend was feeling the same as well. I could pinpoint the exact spot where this ended, where this should have ended. And I've been like really satisfied. We would have had a great arc. We would have had, everything, tick the boxes. Great. Love it. But then again, it's not my film. So I'm not going to, say that was the right thing to do. But if like in my personal opinion, I think that's where I would have cut it there at a particular shot in a bathroom with the two of them on the floor. I just would have cut it there. Yeah. I still like a lot of it. That's why it's a liked thing on Letterboxd. That's why it's still in my good boys list, because I still liked a lot of it. But the ending just, oh man, it just ruined it. It just ruined the entire thing. And now I don't want to watch it again because I know how it's going to end. I really want to watch it again. I thought this was going to be one of my favorite movies of the year. But the ending, man, it just soured everything. It really just left it shitty. And yeah, it sucks to say. It really sucks to say. If you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you enjoyed the film and you got what you wanted to get out of it. I think it's still a great, two-hander up until the end. Still check it out. I'd still say check it out because you might like the ending. You might like it. So I'd say still check it out. But yeah, Sanctuary, a little disappointing, but I still think a lot of it is really good. Moving on to Dark Waters. This is a film directed by Todd Haynes, starring Mark Ruffalo, Anne Hathaway, Tim Robbins, Bill Pullman. And it is about this attorney that approaches a farm. He gets like this accosted by this farmer who says that all of his animals are dying, all his crops are dying because of what they're drinking from the lake or from the river. And this attorney connects all of these deaths from other farms and other places to this farmer's farm and his river, and he goes after the corporation that is dumping the waste into the river, that being DuPont, because I'm pretty sure this is based on a true story, and he risks everything as a lawyer, he risks his career, his family, his future, and even his own life to make these people answer for what they've done. Big corporations especially, for what they've done, and fucking, get justice. To put it in the most basic and simplest terms, get justice, This is another movie that you compare with Spotlight if you want to just see through your fucking teeth at how frustrating and shitty the world is. I liked how, again, just matter of the fact everything is, it's kind of like Spotlight in that way. It's just all the events that happen. It's not filmed so kind of showy as well. It's all just laid flat out. It's just the events, because that's all you need. That's all you need is just the events, the sequence of events, and Mark Ruffalo's performance as Robert Bellot. There are so many scenes where his character is having like nervous breakdowns, or he is starting to get this stressful disease coming on. There's a really great scene when he approaches his car, I think in a parking garage or wherever it's parked outside an establishment. And this is like after all the hearings that he's gone through, all the trials that he's gone through with DuPont and, what the ring out there putting him through. And it's this really tense scene. I love how Todd Haynes directs it, because you don't know what's going on, right? You don't know what's going on. Nothing's been set up. There's no like bomb under the table kind of thing, like Hitchcock talks about in screenwriting. But all he does is he gets in his car and he just turns his keys so slowly. And I was watching this with a friend of mine, and he turns his keys so slowly. And it's just like now that's visual storytelling, because you understand what he's going through, exactly how the character's feeling, what he's going through, and what he's afraid of, and what he's fearful of. When I say he's risking his own life in this sequence, you really think this car's going to fucking blow up, because these companies own so many things, and establishments and corporations throughout the world. They own the police, the government, people inside those institutions, and it's all they're fucking evil. They're fucking evil people. And you wouldn't put it past them to put a fucking bomb in this man's car, to blow him up, to take him away, to stop him from exposing the truth. Yeah, that sequence was just really nail-biting, and I thought was just a great way of showing just how far this character has come, what he's risked, and how scared he is, because he knows that what this is going to do, the fallout of all this. And this is what this becomes. And yeah, it's a really gripping film. If you want to get really angry, and if you want to just, this might even inspire you to do some things yourself, because my God, I got so fucking pissed off when I finished this. I was like, God damn, that was good, but fuck, I'm angry. Dark Waters by Todd Haynes. Check it out. It's on Netflix at the moment. That's where you can watch it. And then I finished off the month. That's not true. And then I checked out that's Jennifer Lawrence comedy, No Hard Feelings. I was feeling a little bit more of a comedy. I've seen a lot of drama this month, and I was feeling a lot more, I wanted some funny stuff. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to chuckle. I wanted the ha-ha. And I was the only one in the cinema. Literally the only one in the cinema, just snacking on me salted caramel choc top. And I'll tell you what, it was the perfect atmosphere for this movie, because I found this movie pretty fun. Jennifer Lawrence herself is she's a bit of a goofball, and it was lovely to see her play pretty much herself. I mean, I'd say a heightened version of herself, but pretty much playing herself in this movie and having a lot of fun while doing it. I really thought Andrew Barr Feldman, I thought he was really funny too. It was a great debut. I think he's mainly a Broadway actor, I'm pretty sure. And I thought it was a great debut for him, and the scenes between them are really funny. You can tell they got along really well on set as well, based on the behind the scenes stuff. And you can tell Jennifer Lawrence is just having fun. She's just doing what she wants now, and I love it. Not confined to franchises, not confined to all these movies that she has to get an Oscar for. I think my gripe would be, I do wish Maddie was a little bit more of a scumbag. I just think it could have been a lot more funnier in that way. I think because they wanted her a bit more appealing, especially since it's a lot of studios, and especially mainstream comedies, like studio comedies like this, they want the protagonist to be likable, to be appealing. I mean, they start off bad, but then they become likable and appealing, and, audience chuckle along. But I really thought Maddie could be more of a scumbag here. And I thought we could get a lot more comedy out of that. That being said, the beach scene where she fights all those kids, holy shit, that was hilarious. I laughed a lot during that beach scene. I thought that was great. And just fucking hats off to Jennifer Lawrence for making that scene even fucking funnier. No Hard Feelings. I enjoyed it. I'm actually going to go see Joyride tonight, another studio comedy that played at South by Southwest. And I'll be talking about that on the Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, and 3 podcast as well. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, I'll be talking about it then. But No Hard Feelings. I think it's still playing. Go check it out. But if you want to wait till streaming, I think this is also just a good streaming comedy as well. And that brings us to the final film, which is Urban Legends. Sorry, Urban Legend. That's the sequel. I did a typo there. That's the sequel, which I will be watching this week. But yeah, I watched this because of the kill count, and I watched this because of Dead Meat's kill count they do. If you're not a fan of the kill count, they do this thing on this YouTube channel called Dead Meat, where they just go through kills and through horror movies, and inspired me to watch a lot more horror movies and get more into it. And I owe it to Dead Meat and channels like that, and Possessed by Horror, and Ryan Hollinger got me into horror. And at the moment, James is doing Urban Legends series, and I like slashers in the 90s. I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, I think a couple of years ago, and this is, I think, the year after. I think that was 97. This is 98, and it's about this serial killer stalking these college students that is basing the killings off famous urban legends. And if you think this movie can't get any cheesier than that, by God, are you in for a treat? Because this movie was so much fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I just had a lot of fun with the kills. There's some great kills, by the way. Tara Reid is in it before she goes into American Pie, so she's in it. Alicia Witt, Jared Leto's in this as well before he got weird. He's still kind of weird in this movie, but you know, before he got weird, he's in it. But man, I got to give it to Rebecca Gayheart. That plays Brenda in this movie, because she was the absolute standout, and I thought her parts I thought her parts throughout were really good, and her part as Alicia Witt, she's the main character, as Natalie Simon, her friend. She's good as like Natalie's friend, but then when she gets to this great stuff like later on in the movie, which I thought was so fucking good, and yeah, I think this is going to be a movie that I watch, not like every year, but I'll be showing some friends this one, because it's also really quick, doesn't waste too much of your time, it's a lot of fun. But also, I just want to quickly shout out as well, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, plays the professor in this movie, the urban legends professor that teaches urban legends. I don't even need to continue. Because you're going to go watch it right now. Australians, it's playing on Stan. Get on it. It's really fun. And I'll be watching the sequel, Urban Legends, which is not this movie next to me. It's Urban Legends. That's the sequel. I think it's called Urban Legends, The Final Cut is the second one. So expect that in July's wrap-up. Moving on to TV. Watch Generation Kill. I'll be talking more about this more in depth in a video coming out next week. But I really loved it. I think it's one of my favorite series now of all time. And a lot to think about too with this one as well. I watched Demon Slayer Season 3, aka The Swordsmith Village arc, and loved it. Holy shit, we're on fire. Yes, go daddy. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. It sucks that we're only getting these amount of episodes, but really looking forward to what happens next in Demon Slayer. And then I'm also watching The Idol. Oh boy, I've seen the first 3 episodes now. I'm going to watch the next 2. Oh man, we've got some stuff to talk about with this one, because we got to check back in. We got to check back in because I got some more things to say about this. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I'll see you then for that one. And that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Go watch these movies. Form your own opinion. Probably don't watch again, I'm going to say don't watch The Flash. Just don't waste your money on it. Are you watching The Idol? How's that going for you? Look, guys. Yeah, that's going to do it. And I will see you in the next video. You can check me out on my socials, which will be in the description down below. And stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video, I think.